Hey guys, in this video, I want to show you my workflow for creating YouTube thumbnails. Super excited to share this with you. I hope you get some value out of it. So let's dive right in. So I have no intention of hiring a VA as I start my YouTube channel to generate these YouTube thumbnails. These days with the state of image generation and AI, surely you can do that. There's a lot of N8N workflows out there that do have thumbnail generation capabilities. There's heaps of new startups and apps that are using this technology to build out these workflows. But I thought I'll just do it myself because I couldn't really find something that, one, was trained on my face, which I think is an important thing, and also the quality just wasn't quite there with the text and whatnot. So I just thought I'd see, well, what can I do if I try different models, if I test different images and take an A/B testing approach. Although I'm not testing multiple thumbnails on a given video, I am testing generating multiple thumbnails and then using vision models to determine which one is likely to be the one with the highest CTR, click-through rate. So the way I start most of my N8N workflows is usually with a webhook trigger. And now this webhook trigger is always set it up so it can support multiple entries. So you can see that this webhook's actually a list of two items, but it could be more items. So this is super useful if you're passing in from another workflow, like say a social media queuing workflow, which is what I'll be using this in, and you have multiple customers or multiple videos that you would like to work with. So I pass in the title, the description, a transcription. This could end up being a really huge clump of text. These are just example values. I've got the post ID. So the post ID comes from a social media database that I'm using. At the moment, I'm just using Airtable, and Airtable has a big list of all the posts, and it's linked to a customer table. So Airtable is kind of like a spreadsheet on steroids, enables you to do sort of database linking, but still has a really nice user interface without requiring you to do a full database build and write SQL and whatnot to do it. So that's a good sort of no-code way to build things out. You literally just create the columns and what their type is. You can attach files and whatnot. You can see, here's some example thumbnails for a post that I was doing when I built it. So these are some that don't have my face in it. And I think they've come up really good. And here's a couple with my face in it. These are some older ones. It is doing a bit better now in terms of the lighting. But that's actually me, but I didn't actually take that photo or anything. So I'll show you how we can do that now. So I also pass in the customer name. So the record, which is the record of that line out item in Airtable, and then the customer record as well, which is linked to it. And so sort of the process here, I wanted to somewhat be or build this in a way that could be image model agnostic. So I've kind of landed on primarily using Leonardo.ai, and Leonardo.ai has several image models available. I did also test ideogram, but you could also try Flux. I am using Flux.Dev model for my face. So I'll show you that, but you can do that in Leonardo.ai. The first stage here is design. So the first couple of nodes are just sort of preparation nodes, setting the values in the customer. In the customer table, you can define reference images. I'll quickly show you what I mean by that. Customer. At the moment, in this table, I've got one customer, but if you have a look in the thumbnail reference, I've got examples of thumbnails that have done really well that I went through. So it essentially has the ability to take those reference images further down the chain and use that to inform the thumbnail designer and the additional models, as some of them can take a style reference. All right, so this is kind of where the magic happens. It's a pretty serious prompt. Of course, you don't need emojis in a prompt, but I do it so I can easily read it later as well. And the LLM does have context of what the emojis actually are. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. If you want this prompt, let me know. But I spent quite a while crafting this to get decent results. So you're a AI thumbnail strategist. Your job is to create 3 highly clickable image generation prompts, strings for a YouTube thumbnail. So you could pass in whatever value you want here. This is going to prompt, so 3 prompts per input item. So input video, for example. If they're videos, it would be 6 prompts per video. But overall, we're generating way more images. So this is a bit power hungry. It does chew through your credits in Leonardo or whatever system you're using, because it could create several variations. Because inside Leonardo, I generate 2 variations. And then also it's going to be a variation that is going to my model to generate images on my face. And then a variation that is also going not be trained on my face. So it could expand out to 10, 15 or more. But it's important to really define your design criteria here. I took some of the concepts and theories from YouTube videos that explain the topic really well, encapsulated it into this prompt, and I've given it some guidance and examples and a prompt template on how to create the prompt itself. We're focusing on, exactly what works specifically for, you've had over 10 billion views on each of your thumbnails that are carefully crafted, but you also know the power of A/B testing. Each variation tests distinct different styles and compositions. This prompt will be used in the text-to-image model, Leonardo or Midjourney, and must describe all visual elements, layout, overlay text styles, background, scene composition, and in clear detail. It's going to receive the title, the description, the full video transcript, and a context about the YouTube channel, which is where I get the customer table here. And in the customer table, I have context that was given when I onboarded this customer, and it's quite a lot of information about the products that I create and the customers that I serve. All right, then the next stage is this spits out. So let's run up to there and you'll see how it goes. So the output will be an array. I'll show you the definition of the output is an array with a variation number, a prompt, a negative prompt, a main focus, whether it's a character or an object, and the post ID that comes through from the input. So we can have a quick little look here. So we have this variation. We're doing 3 variations: negative prompt, main focus, post ID, another one, prompt, negative prompt ID, another one. And then it's doing it again for the second input, second post that I have. So the post ID is different for this and this. And actually I wanted to grab a new post IDs for this. So I'm in Airtable and I'm going down to most recent posts here. These are posts coming in from another system, which are getting posted to these social media networks. But let's say this one was a YouTube video. You could open this post, the URL here. You can copy and just put it in my example data. So this whole workflow, of course, is designed to be triggered by a different workflow, which will be the main social media workflow. And then we will go down to this one, and I'll just grab this ID. Then we can see it generating thumbnails for 2 different posts. All right, so let's head back here. I'll just run it up to here so you can. And then while that's running, so the thumbnail generation, there's 2 branches essentially. One branch is for just generating straight images with Leonardo. The next branch is also generating images with Leonardo, but with a custom model that I've defined. So I'll show you what that looks like. So this is now after this stage, I've split it out. This is outputting 6 items. So it's sort of flat list of all the items for all the posts that came in on the input. And then as we run this through, I'll show you in Leonardo. So with Leonardo, when you log in, so you sort of get to this homepage. And if you pop over to the image tabs, you can see your generations. So this is my other bots generating some Pinterest images. But down here, you'll see some of the previous runs of this workflow. And so they're generating pretty decent quality, simple thumbnails, which have kind of the theory of the high click-through rate baked into them. And then further down, there's quite a few different options. There's some versions with me. That version, for some reason, is giving me white hair. This version's giving me 2 hands. So it's important you do generate multiple versions. So then later we can filter it out with the vision models. Then, yeah, you can see there's more of me. Not the best likeness of me, but it's all there. So there's a lot of, you see, I've been building it for a while. There's some really interesting ones. So in the prompt, I give it an option to choose a style. And so that's thumbnail designer. But you could have it as like a customer level thing. So you could pass in, from looking up the customer, you could pass in like a design preference, and you could have just like a specific design, like a digital illustration or realistic or something like that. At the moment, I've just kind of baked it into Thumbnail Designer, and Thumbnail Designer makes a decision based on the content. So if we keep running this now run it up to this node, you'll see it in action. So here it's important to add the Leonardo.ai is called an asynchronous API. So when you generate it, it'll fire off and return straight away. So this is they're calling their generations endpoint. It'll fire off and return straight away. So it's important then to then check the status of that job. It'll return an ID called generation ID, tells you how much it costed. And now you can see it's running in this loop. The loop checks the status. And then if the status is pending, goes back to wait, checks the status after that the 5 seconds is up, and then just keeps going on this loop until it completes, and it will continue down this path to this merge field. But then once this path is completed, which it just did, this branch will now start. Now this branch is what's happening in Leonardo. So if we go to Leonardo now and refresh, you'll see it's got the first few images coming in from those 3 prompts, and then those 3 prompts will have 2 images each. One specifically, I've defined it specifically to do a character version and a no character version. At least one no character version. Then I will manually show you how I do the training on my face. So if we have a look at models and training, and you go to train a new model, choose character, and go to, this is a data set I've created. So you can create a new data set where essentially you upload your photos. You need minimum 5 and then up to 50, that route. And if here's a data set I created, it's just a heap of candid photos from myself. So we select that data set, you give it a name. I've already done all this, but this is all you have to do. You give it a name, a description. You might say like your name and then avatar. And then you choose, instead of choosing a fine-tuned model, choose a LoRA, element LoRA, and make it a character. And then hit start training. You probably saw here, it's got Flux.Dev selected. There's other ones you can choose, but Flux.Dev is kind of the most recent one and the most modern. If you click anything else, it'll just tell you that we recommend the default settings, and you hit reset, takes you back to Flux.Dev. So let's go back and generate an image with Flux.Dev. That's with a person. Go to Flux.Dev, put this prompt in. So you choose Flux.Dev, make sure it's on 16:9. The interface is different to what we generate, but I'll just generate 3 images here. You can change the style. At the moment, I have it hard set to dynamic anyway, so it doesn't really matter what you choose here. There are some caveats with this. I'll just hit build anyway. So we should see the text build AI agent and a picture of me in there in casual tech attire, looking directly at the viewer with a spark of excitement. Let's see what happens. I'm a bit more muscly than usual, but 2 versions of me. Yep. So the way that this works is that I have selected this and you choose more your elements and you can choose your element there. And then inside the element settings, you have this strength setting. Basically, if you turn strength to 0, the images will just be like this. If you turn strength up, the closer you get to 1, the more of a resemblance you get. What I find is if the strength is 1, you will get the result will be really close to the images you provided. Even if you've got digital illustration style in there, it will still give you this. For example, this is a digital illustration style, and it is, the background is, but the face isn't. So it's not changing my appearance to match the style. It's just changing the background and stuff like that. So that's an interesting thing. If you increase this, it starts to get pretty strange. And then if you decrease this, you'll see, so the first version will be increasing the strength of the element, and the second row will be decreasing the strength. So that one, my eyes are starting to go a bit funky. The background's a bit weird. And it's brought in more of the background images, which was just like a white wall, and the lighting is really changed. And then this is back down to like 0.4, and then it's sort of gone the other direction. So I think the sweet spot is, that was negative 0.4. So let's get this up to 0.7. Did do a version the other day. I don't know if I've got it. Where I went, you can go to 2, and it's really messed up. Nah, we won't. We'll just leave it for now. So yeah, so 0.7. Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. So this is not really looking like me anymore. So that was an interesting experiment. All right, so let's see. So now we've actually ran it all the way to here. This is actually, looks like it's made it to here. It looks like it's actually finished completely, which is good. So what happens here is that this merge node waits for these 2 branches to finish. You could add a completely new branch for any other model here, ideogram or more Flux models. If a better model comes out that Leonardo doesn't have, you can just integrate this as long as there's an API. And then it combines them all, then prepares them for vision analysis. And then down here we have this OpenAI call. It's calling OpenAI chat completions endpoint. And in this code node, we are setting up the prompt. So I said here, how many did we put in? Here are 14 images with this, each one has this post ID. For each image, get its index URL. Please analyze and return, so forth. So it outputs an item which runs well. Yeah, so then it saved some items down here. If we click on these posts in Airtable, you'll see here are the items that was generated. So this video was about Google VO. Chosen those images, those 3 images, as the best performing ones. That one, I'm not super happy with that because the hand is mutated. That was okay. So I didn't actually choose any images with me in it as the best images, because that might not always be the case. So that is an interesting thing, and that's what I wanted to do, because this would take probably quite a bit of time for me to build, or for me to hire a VA to do. And it's decent enough quality, I think. So it's about just doing enough variations to find the quality ones. I do want to improve this scoring mechanism here, where there's image APIs out there where it actually has a machine learning model. It returns a score for a given image. That is probably a better way to do it than using this image analysis model. So that's an interesting thing. What I'll do is I'll run the whole thing again. It's going to burn through some credits, that's for sure. So I think once that's done, overall it takes about 2 minutes to run end to end. But if this is just happening in the back end when you create a post with other mechanisms, or maybe you've manually created a post and it's entered into Airtable, then you have a workflow to trigger this. You could trigger it from a new line, a new record that appears in N8N. You could trigger it from an existing social media generation workflow or social media queuing workflow. So that's doing image analysis now. So you see it's generated quite a few variations here. And it's combined them all down into just 2 items again. So it kind of collapses back to the main input, which is just 2 items. It does the image analysis. So it'll actually run image analysis twice because it's based on the post ID. So there's 2 post IDs, so it will do 2 runs of the image analysis because it generated thumbnails for both of those. So if we jump over to, well, let's have a look in here. You'll see that all of these images were created. So we've got this array here. It tells us this was Leonardo. They're all going to be Leonardo, but there will be Leonardo elements. So I thought, here. Oh, yes, I know why. Just need to change this to be Leonardo, which is the path that I'm using Leonardo elements. So that's just a code node that formats the output of Leonardo into a form that is actually useful down at this step. And then, so we can have a look at some of these URLs. Just copy them, paste them into the browser. So 0 code start, that seems pretty good. The next one, so that was me, another version of me. And then here's another one here. So that's one without a character. And over time, you can just improve this type of flow as new models come out, and you can improve the prompts. You can adjust the designer model to make sure the prompt is really good, to make sure this input prompt here is really good, and improve it over time. And that the output yields a similar thing, but also you can integrate new image models as they get better. Cool. Well, I hope you like this. Follow along for more like this. If you're interested in this workflow, let me know. I haven't yet put together a community or a resource on how to give workflows away yet. But if you are interested, definitely comment workflow below, and I'll see if I can get it to you. Great. Thank you.